I'm looking for Sakuno. You better come along with me. I'll introduce you to the other fellas. Pleased to make your acquaintance, I'm sure.
We could find ourselves in some very tight situations where every sword counts. We need a guide who knows these parts. It's about time Radzig got round to this.
What are the rules of the tournament? Is there anything I should watch out for?
Well, it's not a life or death struggle. We're not barbarians, after all. Anything in particular you'd like to know?
How long does it go on?
All day long. The combatants have to go through several tough bouts before the outcome is decided. Usually the victor is announced before sunset, but it's not unheard of for duels to drag out until nightfall.
How many rounds do I have to win to become the final victor?
Depends how many people enroll. Today comes out of 3 rounds. The combatants who win the first round go through to the second, and the winners of the second will fight each other in the final duel.
What are the rules of combat?
The tourney is for commoners, but that doesn't mean chivalrous behavior doesn't apply. Anyone who leaves the arena before the winner is announced forfeits the duel. If you strike an opponent who has yielded, you'll be disqualified too.
And what do I have to do to win? Do I have to beat the opponent every time, or do I get several tries?
To get to the second round, you have to beat your opponent twice in the first one. If both opponents win 1 bout each in the round, the victor is decided in a third duel. Whoever wins that one goes on to the next round.
What kind of weapons are used in the tourney?
You can take your pick. In the first 2 duels, that is. If a third duel is needed to decide the matter, Sir Hanush chooses the weapons.
Can I borrow weapons and armor here?
Not only can you, you have to. This is about fighting skill, not about who's got the best kit. So you and your opponent get the same. There's equipment prepared for all the combatants. As soon as you sign up, you'll have armor and weapons prepared for you too.
Thanks. That's all I need to know. I'd like to enroll in the big tournament.
You'll have to wait a few days until Sir Hanush announces another one. Come then, and I'll gladly sign you up.
I'd like to ask again about the rules of the tourney. How long does it go on?
All day long. The combatants have to go through several tough bouts before the outcome is decided. Usually the victor is announced before sunset, but it's not unheard of for duels to drag out until nightfall.
Thanks. That's all I need to know.
I'll have to get something to eat. I'm starting to get hungry.
I'd like to enroll in the big tournament.
Right. As long as you've got the enrollment stake, Sir Hanish's rule is every contestant has to put up 3 groschen.
Of course. Here you are.
What's your name?
I'm Henry, from Scallas.
I'll make a note of that. And I need to know what weapon you choose.
Short sword and shield, definitely.
Good. Get yourself ready. You're next in line. Entering the arena now will be Henry of Scallas from the company of Sir Radzig Kobıla, who will measure his skills against Stenye, apprentice to the Ratае scribe. Welcome, our warriors. All is prepared for the first duel. Our confidence will demonstrate their skills with short sword and shield. Change weapons for the second bout. Our warriors will fight with hunting swords. The first combatant will be Michal of Janovitz, spearman of the Lords of Sternberg. And his adversary will be Henry of Skalitz from the company of Sir Radzig Kobıla. Welcome, our warriors! The combatants have entered the arena and the first duel may commence. Our combatants will demonstrate with short sword and shield. for the second bout. The combatants will engage in a duel with warhammers and shields. Who will measure his skills against? Zdeněk, apprentice to the Ratае scribe. Welcome, our warriors!
God bless you. What trouble?
Father, can I ask you about something?
Of course, Henry.
I thought since we drove Toth out of the province, things would be better. I mean that the roads would be safer and so on, and, well, that's not entirely the case.
Ah, the naivety of youth. Driving him out of the province was only the start. He left a lot of cutthroats behind, and they'll be sticking to their trade. What's more, as long as there's a war going on, problems like this will keep coming up.
Well, what can we do about it?
Not an awful lot, unfortunately. My garrison is a shamble these days. I lost most of my men in Skalitz, and what I'm left with after Pribyslavitz is hardly enough even to guard Pigstein. Let alone guarding the roads and patrolling the rest of the province. I simply don't have the men.
Uh-huh. I understand.
That is, I didn't have the men. As it happens, you've come at just the right time. Recently, I asked an old acquaintance for help. Sir Kuno of Rickwald and his mercenary band. The men who ride with him are a rough lot, mostly former convicts, but they're as capable as any squad of soldiers.
Well, excuse me for being so bold, but there's plenty of mercenaries around. Surely you can find a more respectable band?
You have a point, lad, but I'd like to tell you I talked to Kuno because I trust him. But actually my reasons are of a more pragmatic nature. You see, Kuno owes me a favor, so he'll serve me free of charge.
So, you want me to join them?
Yes, but that's not all. I told Kuno to keep a close eye on him and his men. Someone reliable. And I'd say you fit the part. Go and report to him at his encampment. You'll ride with his band on patrols and make sure they don't get too disorderly.
All right. I'll go and report to him.
Excellent. He set up camp between Ratае and Ledechko. It's a good base for covering the province. Good luck, Henry. And watch out for yourself.
I will, sir. Thanks.
Good luck to you.
I'll be with you. I'm looking for Sakuno. No? Baron Rickvold. Isn't this his camp? You won't get nothing out of him. You must be Radzig's man. I heard he was supposed to send someone.
Yes, Sir Radzig sent me as a guide. I'm Henry.
I'm Jakey. And this here fella, we call the Stone.
I can see why. What's up with him? Cat got his tongue?
No, more like the dog got it. The executioner's dog. When the executioner ripped it out of him. Anyway, you better come along with me. I'll introduce you to the other fellas. And the chief. These here are the Bearman brothers, Petter and Jan. They're a barrel of laughs, except when they're too drunk to string two words together. Like now. Don't get on the wrong side of them, though. When their blood is up, well, it ain't a pretty sight.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, I'm sure.
Never mind the fancy poses, Stefan. You're trying to kill the fucker, not teach him how to dance. And you, Dangler, stand your ground. Don't let him lead you round by the nose.
Sir? Well, sir, this is Henry. From Lord Kobıla.
Ah, it's about time Radzig got round to this. We need someone who knows their way around these parts. Leave off with the bowing and curtsying. We don't hold with that tomfoolery here. Jakey! Where the hell are you sneaking off to? Go to the farm and get water. The lads are thirsty.
But I went last time.
And you'll go next time, you ungrateful pup. Get your ass moving. Snot-nosed brat. You pull them out of a pile of shit, and they thank you with back talk. Where were we? Oh yeah. We need a guide who knows these parts. So I hope I can rely on you, Herman.
It's Henry.
Right. Well, as I said to Radzig, I don't want to carry any dead weight. We could find ourselves in some very tight situations where every sword counts.
I know how to handle a sword, all right?
I've heard a lot of fellas say that. They still ended up on the wrong end of one. We'll find out. Stefan, take a break. Dangler, let's find out what Harold here can do.
Sure. No problem, Chief.
I'll send you straight to hell.
Sorry, lad, but like I said, I need someone who can handle a weapon well, and that's not you.
What? You're not going to take me?
No, you just hold us back. But maybe you're just having a bad day. We'll be camping here for some time yet, so if you can whip yourself into shape, come back again, and we'll see.
Huh. Right. Thanks.
Hey!
Tell me something about yourself.
What do you want to know?
How did you and Jan end up with Kuno?
Me and my brother been riding with coin men since we was little. This was just another mercenary band for us. But Kuno seemed like a decent kind of fellow who'd treat us fair.
What about your debt to Sir Radzig? How did that come about?
A twist of fate, lad. I was fighting in the hostilities between the House of Schallenberg and the town of Colleen. Some trade dispute it was, and I fought under the Schallenberg colours. In the end, the two sides negotiated a truce, and I rode to Colleen with the delegation that was to parley there. We stopped off at an inn on the way, and it was there that I met Radzig Kobıla. I could tell at first sight he was a man after my own heart. A likeable rogue, with a sharp mind and a merry soul. We spent the whole night drinking together and talking, and in the morning we set off together, with sore heads, but in good temper, since he was travelling to Colleen same as I was. Only, once we reached the city gates, they arrested me on the spot. Seems the burghers had it in for me, since I'd been making their lives hell for a good 6 months. On the other hand, I was a member of the peace delegation, so by rights, they shouldn't have even looked at me sideways. And then it hit me why Radzig was there. Colleen is a royal city, so he was there to represent the king's interests.
I see. So he was on the other side.
That's right. Anyway, they threw me in a dungeon, and a few days later word reached me that the Schallenbergs had reached an agreement with the burghers. Only part of the deal was they would give them my head. And I'd surely have ended my days swinging from the town battlements if it hadn't been for Radzig. He liked me, and he could see it was a dirty trick, so he somehow squared things with the city council.
Lucky for you.
Indeed. I owe my life to Radzig, and I'll never forget it. He's asked me twice before for help. This is the third time, and how could I refuse him?
I'd like to ask about your men.
Ask away.
What about the fellow they call Dangler?
I've never ridden with a better man, I can tell you. He doesn't say a lot, but for that, he listens all the better. Nothing escapes him.
So he scouts for you?
Not just that. It's happened more than once. I was closing a deal with someone, and Dangler told me after that he didn't like the smell of the fellow. Nearly every time he was right. And the fellow tried to stab me in the back afterwards.
Those Behrman brothers are quite a pair.
Indeed they are. There's no more mercy in them than in, well, a bear. If I told them to skewer you on the spot, they'd do it, without batting an eyelid.
Jesus.
Oh, aye. They'd argue first about which one of them got to do the job. But they're as obedient as a huntsman's dogs. Real soldiers, the pair of them. Reliable. As long as they don't get too drunk. Then there's no keeping them under control. But nobody's perfect.
What can you tell me about Stefan?
Fletching? For one thing, he's a very resourceful fellow.
How did he come to join your band?
Well, let's just say he was in the right place at the right time. You'll find he has quite a knack for that.
What exactly happened?
Sorry, I'd love to tell you the whole story, but I'd be betraying his trust.
Oh, now you've got me curious. Maybe I should ask him myself.
Sure, why not? Our Fletch does love to converse.
What about that dumb one? How did he end up with you?
The stone? Oh, he just kind of tagged along.
Just like that?
Aye, just like that. We were riding from Olomouc to a castle past Kladsko, when we ran into him and some other wayfarers camping along the way. You know how it goes. We made acquaintance with them, had a drink or two. Then we travelled on together. After all, there's safety in numbers.
I'm not sure I'd be thinking that if I ran into you lot on the road.
We might have done some things I ain't proud of, but wayfarers are sacred even for me. Anyway, our fellow travellers dropped off along the way. One in Mohelnitz, one in Schoenberg, and the rest in Kladsko. Except for the stone. He stuck with us the whole way. The fellas kept asking him what he was after, but of course he never said a word. When we were approaching Barsdorf, I ordered the men to get rid of him. I had some business at the castle, and I didn't want any strangers sticking their noses in. Stefan tried to tell him nicely, but he just sat there, staring like he was turned to stone. That's when we gave him the name. Then the Behrman brothers tried to get him off his horse. He booted Jan in the face and knocked him out cold. Then he jumped down and felled Petter with one punch. A man who can do that is a man you want on your side. So we kept him.
Weren't you worried about having a stranger in your band? Especially one who didn't talk.
No, I figured if he can't talk, he can't tell. Besides, I've had worse.
What about Jakey?
Jakey, that boy will be the death of me. You've got to be tough on him, or he's good for nothing. But I'm fond of him, in a way.
Like a son?
I wouldn't go that far. But I've no family of my own. And unlike those other cutthroats, he seems to me like a good lad.
Well, you're pretty hard on him, though. And the others keep him on his toes, too.
The boy needs a firm hand. I was like him once, and I got the same too. If we let him be, we'd end up with a third bear man. And who'd want that?
True. 2 is more than enough.
I'm glad you came.
So Radzig told me the Rickvold family lost its wealth. How did that happen?
There's all sorts of ways to become impoverished. Nothing easier. Especially when your father's a fool. And your mother's mad as a bat.
Oh.
But it's a long and twisted story. We took our name from Rickvold Castle. But that actually belonged to the convent of the Poor Clares in Tynitz. And my father only leased it. You see, he knew the abbess there since they were young. Knew her very well. There was even talk that she only joined the order because her family wouldn't let her marry him. Anyway, whether he was fucking her right there in the convent, or he just took a lot of interest in scripture, he spent an awful lot of time in Tynets.
Oh, he might have been after a bit of both.
Sinning and confessing all in one place. Well, I can see the convenience of it. Anyway, my mother never had strong nerves. Truth be told, her sanity was always shaky. Pa's escapades drove her cuckoo entirely. Then, one frosty December morning, I was woken by screaming and smoke. I looked out the window. I saw my mother there, in the courtyard, wreathed in flames. Behind her, the stables, the farm buildings and the tower were burning too. And she just stood there, shrieking with laughter.
Christ, that sounds like a scene straight out of hell.
Hellish it was, I can tell you. Me and my sister Adela and a few servants managed to get out before the whole place went up. I couldn't get to my father. Or my little brother. Poor lad was only 7. My sister and I were left destitute after the fire. But then my cousin, Adam of Drevich, took us into his castle. A few weeks later, he offered to buy what was left of our estates and sell me a small fortress near a Kovnik. It was a great relief. We suddenly had some hope of a future again. So I told my sister about it. And it was the biggest mistake of my life. A week later, the two of them announced to me they were getting married. And all that was left of our estates, lands, woods, villages, Adela was to get it all as a dowry.
But surely that was for you to decide. You were the head of the family, right?
Aye. Only I barely had 17 years under my belt, and I'd just lost everything. Of course, I argued with them, and that was the only excuse they needed to kick me out of Drevich too.
That's pretty harsh.
You're telling me. But I'm not complaining. As my pa always used to say, if you can turn your hand to something, you'll never be lost. I doubt it ever crossed his mind how often I'd remember those words.
Can you tell me something about yourself, Jan?
Why not? I haven't been to confession for a while.
Chief, this company's already done some work for Radzig Kobıla, right?
How did you end up in Kuno's band?
It's nothing new for me and my brother. We've been fighting for coins since we were old enough to carry swords. Last time we rode with one Lombardian by the name of Collini. All over Bavaria, Austria and that.
What happened? Did you fall out?
Nah, we just wanted to come back to Bohemia. You know how it is. Where no one understands a word you say, it ain't worth a damn.
You and Petter seem very close.
As brothers should be, lad.
Nah, to tell the truth, I'd never have guessed the two of you came from the same mother.
Oh, we've got the same ma, all right. I ain't got no ma, and neither does he. And the same goes for our pa. It's probably Satan himself.
Oh. I'm a bit confused. You're not actually brothers?
We might be. We might not. A band of mercenaries found us in a village when I was still a baby, and Petter hardly walking. Playing in the dirt together we was. Their leader took a shine to us for some reason. He took us away and raised us up. Raised us with swords for playthings and ale for mother's milk. A few years later, he was killed in Saxony. The band fell apart, but we joined another right away. That's the way it's been ever since, over and over.
So you two never had... well,
A normal life. We ride from one fight to another, risking our necks and killing who they pay us to kill. That's normal for us. Always has been.
Hey, Jakey, can you tell me something about yourself?
Want to get matey, eh? Sure, Henry. What do you want to know?
How did you end up in Kuno's band?
Well, I used to be a baker's hand in Prague, but all the other fellas were always on my back, always swearing at me. Sometimes they even beat me up, took everything I had. To make a bit of coin, I started going to the tavern across the road, entertaining the rich gents with jokes, playing the fool. Sometimes someone would throw me a half-groschen. One time, Kuno turned up there, and I got to talking with him. When I told him all the shit I was getting at the bakery, he offered to take me with him.
I bet you were glad to get out of there.
Yeah, though it's not like they give me much peace here either. It's all,
Jakey, come here. Jakey, go there. Jakey, get that.
Well, surely you can't be any worse off here than in the bakery.
no. Only, at the bakery, the worst I ever got was a beating. It's not like my life was in danger. But here, when those Beerman brothers are drunk, I have to keep well out of sight.
How come they bullied you at the bakery? It's usually the shy ones bullies pick on. That's not exactly you.
Not now, maybe. I learned a thing or two since then.
Oh, come on, you shy? You just said you were playing the fool and telling jokes in the tavern.
All right, I'll tell you the truth. They picked on me because I'm an orphan. The parish priest of St. Apollinaires in Prague found me as a baby in the church one winter's morning. I spent half my childhood in parish houses and half on the street.
I see. That must have been tough.
It still is tough, I can tell you that.
I'll have to get something to eat. I'm starting to get hungry.
Tell me something about yourself.
What do you want to know?
How did you and Jan end up with Kuno?
Me and my brother been riding with coinmen since we was little. This was just another mercenary band for us. But Kuno seemed like a decent kind of fellow who'd treat us fair.
Your brother was saying you rode before with some Collini fella.
He did he? Did he tell you why we finished with him?
Yeah, he said you missed Bohemia.
Ha ha! Miss Bohemia! That's good! Ha ha ha! But it ain't far from the truth. Jan missed any place where he wouldn't have a band of furious Italians looking to skin him alive.
Ah. He did something to anger them.
Oh, aye. While Collini was away, he broke into the trunk where the coin was kept. Took it all and wagered it with a fellow who claimed his bear knew how to dance, and lost it all.
What? The bear really did dance?
Aye. The costliest Chardash we ever watched. We had to get the fuck out of there before Collini came back, and had the two of us dancing, on the end of a rope.
Have you thought about where to head next, Damien?
Aye, Chief.
I want to challenge you again.
If you like. Reckon you've improved?
I reckon I have.
We'll see then.
God be
Maybe
with
if
you,
you're lucky, I'll have got worse. Let's do it then. What's the matter? Come on! Slaughter you!
Sorry, lad, but like I said, I need someone who can handle a weapon well, and that's not you.
What? You're not going to take me?
No, you just hold us back. But maybe you're just having a bad day. We'll be camping here for some time yet, so if you can whip yourself into shape, come back again, and we'll see.
Oh. Right. Thanks. I want to challenge you again.
If you like. Reckon you've improved?
I reckon I have.
We'll see then. Maybe if you're lucky, I'll have got worse. Better get yourself into good shape first, though.
All right. I want to challenge you again.
If you like. Reckon you've improved?
I reckon I have.
We'll see then. Maybe if you're lucky, I'll have got worse. Better get yourself into good shape first, though.
All right.